Okay, we want to welcome everybody on out there around the world. And for those of you watching the YouTube video, this is a very special 30 minutes. We are going to talk to you about how to speak your future into existence exactly the way you want it. And there's a number of ways maybe to get it done. I don't know if there's an exact way, but they all flow from the same thing. As we're going through this, Anthony will be putting into the chat box 3 different YouTube videos. One of those YouTube videos will be of Creflo Dollar. He has a sermon on the power of your words. So I'm going to start the call this morning by simply saying the number one thing a person can do to change the course of their future into the direction they want to go is to start making a conscious decision all day long what flows out of your mouth. The second you hear yourself say something that you don't want to exist in your life, stop. Don't say it. I wish I could say you don't even think it, but it takes a minute to get your brain trained that much. But you can physically stop it from coming out of your mouth. Do not speak that word into existence. And sometimes people will say it's exaggerating. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, that's not real." But start saying the things daily that you want to exist in your life. I don't say I want to be rich. Just say I'm going to be rich. And we've got some really special guests this morning. We're going to spend most of our time with Melody Collier, also known as Hot Chocolate on her national radio syndication show. She follows Steve Harvey every day of the week. She is world renowned, and she is just absolutely magnificent. But I have one question. Chris Doyle is also with us this morning. He will not be able to be with us the entirety of the call this morning. But Chris, as a young man without a college degree, you actually became very wealthy. At one point, making multiple millions per year. You had a boat, you had jet skis, you had nice cars, your wife had nice cars, your kids had nice cars. So, that doesn't just fall from a tree in the front yard. It wasn't because your parents were wealthy, because they were not. I've been to your parents' house. It was a really small town and a really normal small house. Chris, I want you to just start us off this morning about how you set the goal as a young man to become what we now call the money man.
Yeah, Anthony definitely labeled me with that. Todd, it's so amazing, but it actually began in my teens when I was about 16, 17 years old, when a guy that was a mentor that I probably never even told you about, a guy by the name of Fred Ward, and I can't even find him anymore. It's been so many years ago, that talked to me about the power of what you put in your mind, what you just said, the power of thinking it through, and how you could be, it really wasn't about your education. This was more about your mindset on how you became successful. And it grew over the years. I mean, I'll be very honest, it grew over the years. But I'm totally convinced that what you think and how you believe is going to be where you come out. Now, I don't want to get the wrong impression. I'm always positive. Everybody goes through ups and downs. But if you talk to me on a consistent basis, you'll find there's more ups than downs. And during my growth periods, what I call as a young man, I decided I wanted to be a real estate broker, and I just basically made that happen. I quit a 6-figure income to go become a real estate broker, and then realized that there was not enough money in it for me. Isn't that funny? So I was a 6-figure earner there, and I'm like, there's not any money here. And so that's when I got into manufacturing, all because I saw a vision, or saw a man's house that was probably a $3 million house, and all I wanted to know was what he was doing. I've never believed you had to invent something. I'm not a Bill Gates. I'm not that smart, but I believe, I've heard this said many times, success leaves clues. So I just began to do things that others did that were successful. And what we're going to talk about this morning is probably the most powerful part about it. It's really the tool you use or select is critical. Of course, you can't go get an $8 an hour job and say, I'm going to become a millionaire. It's just not going to happen. But you can, if you get into something that you learn, and I certainly never knew anything about the blue jean business. Let's make that very clear. I knew nothing about that industry, but I knew nothing about network marketing either when I met you. So you develop over time But the mindset, if you've got that why, and I'll call it the why, the how will figure it out if one thing's there. Your mental mindset stays focused long enough to keep it on track. And I do little things. I mean, I just do little things. I'm gonna post something real quick. I'm gonna change something. Look at my picture. Not even sure it shows my name now. That's right. Anthony's got me switched off. But normally it pulls up a picture of a Lamborghini. I have one in my phone. Does that mean I really want a Lamborghini? I don't know. But I put boats on my face screen. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with grandchildren being on your face screen. I love my grandkids, but I try to put things out that I want to have happen, whether that's homes or vacations. I know Hot Chocolate's big into vacations. She and I were texting last night on Facebook about, she said, what do you really want? I said, I want 3 weeks in Europe. Well, I know it's going to happen, but it would have already happened. Unfortunately, they shut down the borders. We were planning to go last year in March, and that got all shut down. So, but it is everything we can say here today. I don't care. Everybody waiting for somebody to give them a tip. That's the right word to say at the right time. And honestly, I don't have any of those. The most important thing is right here. There's the 4 inches. In my case, my head's bigger than most of you. So I'd say about 3 inches for somebody. My head's big and wide. So about 5 inches of real estate I have to take care of. And it's between this ear and this ear. About 5 inches. If you can control that 5 inches, let me assure you, that is a difficult area to control. And it won't be something that you'll control in 30 days or 60 if you've been a negative type person. I meet people that way all the time, and I can just tell by their mindset, they're not ever going to succeed because when they're on the phone with me, they're telling me everything that's wrong all the time. And they're never telling me anything that's right. They start their day talking about not feeling well, they're not awake. They can just go into 100 things here. I could talk an hour on that, but it is so critical. And when I met Hot Chocolate, didn't have any clue that she had such a mental, I didn't know it for months. I just knew she was successful. She did what she needed to do. She just went and first person I've ever, by the way, I'm going to say this before we turn it to her, and I'm going to leave you guys. So I'll come back and watch this. She's the first person I've ever, in 20 years of network marketing, she's the first person I've signed up in the business who signed up 2 people before we ever left. Didn't you? And she immediately was all about health, but then she saw the big picture of the money and she wanted her health too. So she had 2 things she wanted, literally made 2 phone calls. And I'm like, she didn't say, what do I need to say? She called 2 people and went immediately, and I'm not going to call their names because I know they're not on here. They may be on here, doesn't matter. But one of them, she told me later, she said she'll probably not make it. She's just a negative person. She doesn't look at what's right. She looks at what's wrong. I hope it's okay. I'm saying it, Hot Chocolate. I'm making a statement. I'm not calling names, but she brought it up. She said they look for what's wrong all the time, not for what's right. At any rate, I'm going to turn it to you, Todd, and that I'm excited. I'm going to come back and watch this. Is there anything else you want me to add?
No, that's perfect, Chris. I'm just going to say one thing. We're going to go right into Melody. You started in real estate. You realized that most real estate, you have to trade time for sales. You deal with ups and downs in the economy. So the more you make, the more you have to work. It's a treadmill. Not that you can't make money in it. Then you moved into manufacturing, which is what I call big business. That's where you can get a lot of employees working for you. I think at one point you had 400 employees. So now you have leverage on your side. You've got a lot of people's effort contributing to your success. However, it's a tough environment because the employees never make as much. They don't have the same ambition you have. They don't have the same goal. They don't have the same sight. So there's always kind of a friction between a big business owner and an employer, although that's the way 90% of the world works. You're either on one side of that fence or the other.
Correct.
But the greatest thing about the direct sales network marketing industry is that we all are business owners. So we all create the leverage amongst ourselves, but we all have the same opportunity to create the same amount of leverage, or we can create more leverage. So people that are in your business can actually go out and earn you. That is true. That is crazy good motivation. And then the other piece of our industry is that it creates residual income as people buy and sell products around the world as you build your network out. So it gives you time freedom, which I think when you're a young person you chase the dollars, but as you age, you start realizing how important time is. Being able to control your time, be at your kids' ball games, be with your grandkids, take off for weeks at a time. You don't even have to think about it. It's just built into, that's your new DNA. So let's go to Melody Collier. She has become a world-renowned radio syndicate. Her radio name is Hot Chocolate. But Melody, for myself included, and everybody out here that will be listening to this video, we don't know your beginnings. Can you talk to us just a minute about how you started, where you're from, like what you did when you got out of high school?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, very good. Good morning to everybody. That's a great question. Came from a single parent home. I've never seen my father. And a lot of people use that to stop themselves from certain things in life. I never looked at that as a hindrance. I said, well, his loss, even as a little girl. I'm an only child, so I've always been mindful of people around me. We did not have a lot of money. I went to college for 1 year and realized that I was doing so well in college, but there was a different path I felt like I was called to that did not include a university. So I began to do like little entrepreneurial things, pursue helping people, trying to change people's lives. So I went into buying a restaurant at one point with no money and no experience. I've always felt like if I saw it or thought it, let alone said it, I could do it. So I started doing faith posters. That's what I called them. I had never heard of a vision board at that time. So I started doing faith posters, and I would put on there that I wanted a BMW, that I wanted this kind of house, and it looked impossible seeing that I had no degree. But I always felt that whatever my purpose was more powerful than whether or not I had a degree, whether or not I had a father, whether or not we had money. So that's kind of like the beginning of it all. And one day someone introduced me to insurance, and I never felt like I was a salesperson, had no money to buy leads, created my own lead system by doing little postcards out of construction paper. And got to the top of my company without ever buying a lead. I have never bought an insurance lead. Most people are wild about it. And I've been doing it almost 20 years because I believe that what I say, I can have it no matter the circumstances around me. So that's kind of
Melody, going back to your faith poster, like, did somebody tell you that, or
no.
Where did that come from?
I literally woke up one day. I kind of think I invented the whole vision board thing. I woke up one day, I was like 14 years old. And I said, I want to take magazines and put my goals, find the goals in the magazines, cut them out, put them on a poster. And I started telling my friends about it. And then I started telling them to come over to our little 700 square foot apartment and let's put these pictures on posters together. And I said, we're going to put them on our room doors. So I put it on my bedroom door so I could see it every day. I had never heard of it, never heard of it. And everything on the board has come to pass in my life.
Melody, you may know a pastor named T.D. Jakes. He's out of Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
He preached a sermon in the early 2000s. And for those of you that don't know that part of our country, there's a highway called Highway 49. It runs from Oklahoma City to Dallas, Texas. And in his sermon, he said, if you were on the Texas-Oklahoma border and you were at an exit on Highway 49 and you did not know where you were going and you get on Highway 49 and just go, you could end up in Oklahoma City when your intentions were maybe to end up in Dallas because you never decided on a map, I want to go to Dallas, I need to go south on 49. And that was a triggering moment in my life that I had to draw out a direction of where I wanted to go because, I thought it all the time. I'm a natural positive person. I had worked on becoming more positive, but I never created a roadmap for the success. I didn't even know how to define success. So let's talk about that with you. When you got into the business world, you started dreaming, you started doing your faith posters. When was there a moment where you said, I want this life. And tell me what this life is and what you did and how it's come to be.
Okay, great question. I did not see this life around me. I came from a very sedentary family who never wanted anything. My great grandmother, who was my inspiration, her greatest desire in life was to have a decent burial. Literally. That's what I heard every day growing up. I just want a decent burial. So I didn't come from that background, but I believed that what I saw on TV was bigger than just TV, that it was a life I could have. And I started as a little girl asking myself the question, why don't people around me have it when I can see it on TV? So I started telling my mother as a little girl, I'm going to have a lot of money. I'm going to help a lot of people. So it kind of happened for me through watching TV and believing that what I saw around me, I didn't want for my life. You know, we had very little. So I kind of started walking that pattern out even as a little girl. I would tell my little baby dolls that
I want to interject one thing. I want to interject one thing there, Melody, because you said something that's so powerful, and I want you to expand on it. Your starting point was maybe more what you didn't want than what you did want. I think that is a crazy powerful statement. Can you expand a little bit there?
Yes, when I looked around me, my family was negative, my family was poor, my aunts, my cousins, everybody was so set in just being average. And as a little girl, I said, that's not what I want. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to help a lot of people. I'm going to go in magazines and find what I want for my life. I'm going to see it on TV and I'm going to start telling people. So like at 8, 9, or 10, I was telling my mother what I was going to have out of life because I wasn't seeing it. So she would take me to the nicest grocery store in the city. And she exposed me to the nicest of what she could to help to support what I was believing. And so when I would go in the store and I would see something, it could be a piece of jewelry, $5. I said, one day I'm going to have that. Because if I can see it, I can say it and I can have it. So I started patterning my whole life after that.
So, I'm going to dig really deep here because I think there's a lot of people watching this that really want to understand how to do this. So, starting point is it really in your brain, and it was mine too. I promise you it was in mine too. Same spot.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I hated it. I hated that vice on me all the time. But I didn't know what I wanted because it was so far out of my reach. So you just said that you started going into magazines. So and finding things that you love. Can you expand on that? How you did that? How someone else could do that?
Yes, I literally would buy magazines. I do to this day, and I will circle what I wanted. If I saw a car, I'd circle it. If I saw a charitable organization I wanted to give to, I would circle it. And then I started putting things around me. I do that to this day in my office. So I believe that not only should I speak it, but my environment should speak it. So I would put little things, and I would even, one time I did pottery and little gold nuggets to remind myself that there were amazing golden things that were going to happen in my life. And I did it when I was at 0. And the more I went through things, the more positive things I put around me. And I tried to say what I saw. I was very intentional with my words, and I am to this day. Yeah. So that's how it started for me. I just started cutting out magazines, and I asked people for free magazines because I couldn't buy a lot of magazines. So I said, well, you donate your magazines to me. And the magazines were my motivation.
Yeah, and Anthony, I don't know if you've got the capability to put Melody's house up for us real quick. If you could throw that up so we could kind of see the result. So Melody, talk about a little bit about, and don't be embarrassed about bragging on yourself. This is not bragging on yourself. This is a roadmap of hard work and vision.
Yes.
But talk to us a little about where you live at today.
Okay. I made a decision when my husband and I got married, and we bought a house, and it was a nice house. It was 3,000 square feet. And I said to him, we'll only be here 5 years or less. I said, not in. He's like, really? He's like, this is a really nice house. I said, yeah, but this is not what I think I should have for my life. So last year during the pandemic, I wrote in my phone everything I wanted in a house. I said I wanted at least 6,000 square feet or more. It had to double what we already had. I said I want an elevator. I said, you know, I want an amazing entryway. I want an amazing chandelier. I want storage everywhere. I mean, I was very, very, very specific, never knowing if the house even existed, but I knew that I wasn't going to build from the ground and it had to be somewhere in my vicinity. So I started telling people. My mom said, "Oh, that sounds kind of crazy. Nobody says all those things." I said, I don't care. I put it in my phone. And my husband was in agreement with me. And every day I looked at that list that was in my phone. That was my vision board. And I said, even my realtor said, "You're not going to find that house." I said, "I am." I'm going to find that house. And I did. And it has over 7,500 square feet of living space. It has every single detail that's on that vision board, not one thing left out. And it was a pursuit. It had its challenges, but it was so worth it. Even floor to ceiling windows, that was on my list. And so I know that what you say, you can seize before you even see it. Your words, your spoken words are powerful. Yeah.
Melody, your spoken words are everything. They're everything.
Yeah.
And you just said something. And when I say I've said this to everybody, I say it to myself because you and I are no different. Although we've had some successes with our visions, to go next level, you got to do it all over again.
Yes.
So 3 separate times in my life, actually it's 4 separate times at this point, I drew a house detailed. I'm talking about, just like you said, crazy detailed. The first time I did it, when I began my journey in this industry, I bought a house in South Carolina and forgot I drew the picture. And a couple years later, found the picture opening up a box. And the picture I had drawn in 2001 compared to the house I bought in 2004 was almost the driveway, the trees on the driveway. So I encourage you, listen to Hot Chocolate, draw it in detail.
Yes.
You ladies out there, draw your kitchen, your cabinets, your stove,
Yes.
your refrigerator. You draw where you want things on the wall. You got to draw it out in detail, like you're drawing the blueprint for the builder. Expand on that a bit more, Hot Chocolate, because I know that to be. That is a fact. You draw it, you believe it, it is coming to be.
It's coming to be. You know, even refrigerator space. I knew we needed, because I love to cook when I cook, and I love to entertain. So I knew we needed more refrigerator space. And so we were about to buy a second refrigerator. And then I thought about it and prayed about a refrigerator. And it's like, no, not before you get the house. The house came with 2 Sub-Zero refrigerators in the kitchen. You know, so specific, so detailed. There was not one. I wanted hardwood floors everywhere. That I wanted an amazing master bathroom, heated floors. Every single detail was in this house. I drew it out in my phone and I confessed it every day. And I try to make sure that every day I say what I want for my life, what I want for my marriage, what I want for even blessing other people. And last thing, I told my husband during the time of the house, I said, I want a diamond bracelet. And he said, okay, babe. I said, I want it to be at least 10 carats. He's like, well, okay, babe. And so he said, okay, well, we'll work on that. Well, right after the house came about, I got a call from a jeweler that I had not talked to in 20 something years. He's a diamond broker. He said, we just got a diamond bracelet from Thailand, from a rich official in Thailand who is trying to get rid of his richest items. And we thought about you. It's a 23 carat diamond bracelet.
Anthony, can you pull that up for us, please?
The diamonds are even made, it's the highest quality of diamonds, the highest clarity. They're made even in a way that they can't touch or knock each other out. That's 23 carats of diamonds. And it's not because I had to have that, but I spoke it. I believed it. And God doubled what I asked for. I asked for 10 carats of diamonds. He gave me 23. You can have whatever you say.
Yeah, so just in case somebody's missed this, she began her journey with free magazines at times. Some she bought, cutting out pictures of houses maybe that she'd never been in, but she saw them in magazines.
Yes.
Today, she has two big old zero fridges in the house. She's got heated floors. She has an elevator in her house. Chris Doyle's first time to go to a living room meeting, he called me and said, "Todd, she's got an elevator in her house." And so hot chocolate, it's a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's ever a destination, but it's an arrival at a certain point, and then you reset a new destination.
Absolutely.
But what I want to do now is talk about the journey, because you set the vision board. Anybody can do that, although most don't. You start speaking things into existence. Anybody can do that, although most don't. However, the journey's never straight up. There's lots of crooked lines, bad days. So talk me through those times, because we all have them.
Oh my goodness, there have been so many hurdles I've had to overcome. Even in my insurance business, everybody said I wasn't going to make it. My first 5 years, I made almost $0. I even had to stop insurance for 12 solid months to reassess myself and find out how to be a better finisher. Because I realized I was a great starter, but not a good finisher in the business world. So I had to reset me, because I had all these lofty goals and ideas and vision boards, but I also had to make sure my work ethic was intact and my pursuit was on the same level. So I stopped insurance for a solid year and made almost no money to learn how to finish. And when I went back in the game, I went from nobody knowing me to the top of our company because I had reassessed myself. I've had low times. I've lost a lot of friends. Even buying this house, my little friendship list or associate list got even smaller. But I've been determined not to allow the pitfalls to be the summary of my life. So I learned from them and I keep moving.
So Melody, that was actually my next question for you. And this is maybe the hardest part of success. And that is, anybody can, anybody could, but everybody doesn't make the journey with you. Right. And it's I know it's never that you don't want everybody to come, but there's always points where you have to separate and keep going when you realize that somebody's not coming with you. Talk me through that, because that's not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing. When I came back into the insurance world after that year of being off, I had to make a decision. I had to separate myself from most of my friends because they were going in circles. Everybody was talking about what they wanted, but nobody was actually pursuing or manifesting it. So in order for me to be different, I had to make a hard decision. My phone stopped ringing. Okay. I stopped going to lunch. I stopped going to dinner. For about 3 or 4 years, I lived a solitary life, working on building and saying that the right people who want to build with me will come, and I'll walk alone until they do. That was hard, but it was so worth it, because one, I found out I could do it sort of alone to a certain degree. I found out that what I was pursuing was bigger than the people that I had walked away from. I loved them, but I didn't love the way they lived. Good people, good intentions, but nobody was moving on it. So I really had to make some hard decisions to get here, and even for where I'm going, because I haven't arrived yet. But I'm very intentional. I'm very purpose-driven every day. And I've had some moments where it just didn't look like it was going to happen. I've had a lot of tears I've had to shed. And even getting this house, my closest friends, my very best friend, at least 3, almost 5 of them walked out of my life completely. They came to my home or heard about the house, stopped speaking to me altogether. That was a hard pill, but not hard enough to deter me. I sucked it up, had my little moment, and I kept moving because I realized the vision is bigger. And let me say something else, please. Giving is a big part of my life too. I've learned how to keep harvest coming by constantly giving, but I'm more intentional now. I give where I'm going. I don't just always give to those in need. I do that too, but I try to sow for where I'm going as well, because that's the harvest that I'm looking for. So yeah.
So powerful. You mentioned the word manifestation.
Yes.
And Melody and I both come at this from a Christian viewpoint.
Yeah.
So I don't want somebody to think it's hoodoo, but there's a real live deal that you can manifest your future. Some people call it the law of attraction. I call it God's creative powers. Creflo Dollar's sermon that Anthony's going to put in the chat for everybody to go and listen to. He calls it God's spoken word. He spoke life into existence. We speak our future into existence. It's a terrific 45-minute sermon if you got a chance to listen to it. But I want to talk to you about that manifestation, like because that's what we do. And the bad thing is, I got to say one last thing. I want you to really go in depth on that word with us, is that whether you believe it or not, you're manifesting. So what happens a lot of times is, and one of the reasons that Melody says sometimes you have to separate, or people are manifesting the wrong things into their life, whether it be just a constant wrong decision or just a constant circling of negative things coming out of their mouth or negative thoughts that enter their brain. So Melody, I want you to talk about that, about manifesting the life you live today, and maybe manifesting the next level of life that you may want to live 5 years from now.
Absolutely. Manifestation is everything. I came to a point a few years ago where I said, I don't want to live, I could have, I should have, I would have. I wanted tangible manifestation of what I believe God had for my life. So I really literally had to go to God. I'm glad you allowed me to put that in there. I really had to go to him and ask him what I needed to do. And that's when, like I said, I stopped insurance for a year. I made sure that I was giving life my best effort. And I didn't know what that meant. I just thought being awake and being grateful, that was good enough. But I really had to amp up what I was giving out. And I had to make sure that what I was picturing was what I was living. So I amped up every part of my life to make sure that, okay, on this date, this would happen. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not setting dates to things. Okay, I was just, oh, I want this and I hope this happens and I would love for this to happen. But I started setting dates and creating a path to getting there. And so that's when things changed too, because I had a plan. I thought that because I loved God, it was just going to happen. But he gave me a plan of action. And I had to repeatedly walk out that plan, good days and bad days. And I do it to this day. And even building this new business, sometimes I'm up late at night to talk to people in our group, our upgrade group, because I realized what it took to get on this side of insurance is what it's going to take to get for new age. So I have a plan of action. And if I walk it out every day, it has to come to pass. What happens is we normally drop the ball before we see it. So not only do I say it, I have a plan so that I can seize it as well. And I want it all in this lifetime. Yeah.
Melody, you're only starting. Your mind, the life follows the mind. So I can tell you, wherever your lifestyle is now, it's going northward, because I can hear by what you're saying. It's going northward.
Yeah.
So Anthony's live with us now too. Anthony is a bit younger than Melody and I. So Anthony does not have the elevator yet, or the heated floors, or the 2 Sub-Zero refrigerators. But Anthony, you have made the decision in your life as a young man that everything in the inflow into your brain is positive information. And I know this because you send me 2 quotes in a video every morning, 7 days a week, and you have now for many months running. I want you to talk to me just a minute, Ant, from maybe a person that's just beginning a real journey into this manifestation world, creating your life of your dreams, about the positive inflow and keeping the negative influences out.
Absolutely. For me, for everybody, that's the biggest thing. I believe everybody's gonna go through life, which is flat tires, people passing away, bad things happening, people talking about you, your best friends walking out your life. It's gonna happen. Nobody's exempt from it. There's gonna be all types of things that happen. But the biggest thing we can do is feed our brain on a daily basis. I believe feeding your brain daily is like brushing your teeth. It's something you have to do every single day, because motivation is just something, it's just like a shower. It's just something you do, and then 24 hours is gone, because throughout the day, things are going to happen. So now I'm more of I think I'm like 85% to 15%. So 85% of what I feed my brain has to be positive. Then I love funny stuff. I love sports, but I'm not going to do that more than what I do reading a book, listening to audio or something, or listening to a Zoom. That's why I jump on the Zooms, because that's more positive than me, even though I love sports to death, but I would rather jump on a Zoom than I would watch a sports game of any kind, football, basketball. It doesn't matter, because I know that's feeding my brain of some kind. Plus, you never know what's going to click to make you go to the next level and makes your mind and put you into action. And so I encourage everybody. And people ask me all the time, well, and how do you do it? Well, I didn't read a book in my life until after college. I was always that person that would go through and find what I needed, highlight it, and hopefully I summarize and pass. But that was me. I wasn't the person that was going to read the whole book. But I remember reading my first book, which was Danny Johnson, First Steps to Wealth. And after I read that, I was like, wow, that's so much powerful information. I spent over $100,000 in college, and they didn't teach me half of the stuff that was in this $7 book, because it was a free book. All you did was pay for the shipping. And what I learned was, and so if you're not a big reader, it's okay. Start somewhere. Start with 2 pages a day, 10 pages a day. Matter of fact, 10 pages a day, you'll read a whole book in a month. You read 300, most books are 300 pages, and that's the way I look at it. If I can read a book every single month, that will separate you from 95% of the people in the world. Because most people aren't going to read a book. You want to be better at network marketing, go read 5 books. And now you're in the top 5%. Because the top network marketers won't ever, they all have read over 5 books. And I also got to give credit to Mr. Vance, Dr. Crystal's dad, because he told me that too. And this was a man also who made millions of dollars in this industry. And he said that his book list never stops growing. And so for me, I was like, well, okay, my book list should never stop growing. So I order 2-3 books every single month. I'll just listen. If you want to be successful, go find out what successful people are doing. And when Todd told me to read, and then when I had people like Brent that was always reading, and I just was like, okay, well, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it. And I was like, hot chocolate there. If I seen something on TV, I was like, well, okay, that's great. If they did it, that means I can do it. Period. I don't know how. I don't know what's going to happen, but you got to feed your brain daily. It is something that you have to do daily. Just like I tell people every single day, you should wake up and thank God for waking up. It's the same thing with feeding your brain. Every single day, you need to spend at least 10. How you gonna go 24 hours and don't even spend 30 minutes on feeding your brain something positive? I just don't understand. It's 24 hours in a day. You're gonna sleep 8 hours. You about to go through, ain't no telling what's gonna happen today with family members, with friends, with just life. So every single day, if you could just do something to feed your brain for 30 minutes, you are putting yourself in a different percentage bracket than everybody else out there, because most people aren't going to do that. Most people want to listen to music all day, or gossip on the phone with their homegirls or home or friends, or they want to watch TV, which we know. I don't think I've ever turned the news on. They said anything positive. They never talk about the people going to feed the homeless. They never talk about the people that's helping somebody build homes or help somebody do this. They always talk about everything negative. So I learned to turn off the negativity and feed myself with positivity.
Yeah. So Ann, in today's world, you don't even have to take the time to read a book. If you've got a phone and a new enough car that has Bluetooth, or buy you for Christmas, get somebody to get you a set of AirPods or whatever your favorite choice is. YouTube is a wealth of positivity. There's 3 different videos I want you to listen to. The Creflo Dollar one, the spoken word. We're going to put a video up called The Prayer of Jabez. I really encourage you to listen to that. And the third one is a little different, but it's by Bruce Lipton. And it's a video about how the spoken word and how the positive thoughts actually change you at a cellular level. So sometimes, I learned, here's how I learned what I'm about to tell you. I grew up in the church. We went to church every Wednesday night, every Sunday morning, every Sunday night. I did that my entire youth from the day I was born. My grandparents, my parents, we just were always in it. But I didn't know it at the time, but I always knew there were a lot of praying, really broke people in my church.
Yes.
And it never ceased. Like they never got ahead. But the same praying broke people, when they weren't at church, were so negative. Not negative. Like, I don't mean mean people. I mean, they were just like the things that came out of their mouth. I didn't understand it at the time. I've learned this now that I've learned to change the DNA, change my body at the cellular level with positive thoughts and positive spoken words. So just know, and I believe it all still comes from God, but we have to do our part.
Yes.
Maybe 1 in however many million he's going to give the lottery to, but most of us, he's going to give us a path of learning en route. And that's the reason I wanted Melody to talk about the ups and downs, because the destination, I always say it's never about the arrival, it's about the journey. And the negative parts of the journey is a lot of times where you learn the most. So that being said, we're out of time, but Melody, I want to go back to you and let you close this out. Anything that we've said or Anthony said, or you want to recap or highlight from your side, and then give everybody a call to action, what you would do if you were somebody listening to this that wanted change for the better.
Absolutely. In fact, I've enjoyed you and Anthony so much as well. What I would tell people to do, and this is something I started to do a couple of years ago, find people who've done it already. Attach yourself to them. Like you just said, Todd, YouTube is a great way to do that. I started paying and investing and going places to hear people who had already done it. Being in certain environments, it really recharges you, along with the reading. That I forgot to put that in earlier. That has become an important part of my journey. Once you find people who do it and have done it, then create your own path and come up with words every day that you're going to say to speak for your life. My office is full of affirmations of everything I want to happen in my life. So when I'm not in the office, those affirmations are constantly going into the atmosphere. I even leave my TV on mute on TBN real low because I don't really watch TV. Why? Because I know that they're praying or saying something that's going to charge my atmosphere. So be intentional about everything you say, everything you read, the people that you connect with, and the vision that you create for yourself. And eventually you'll find yourself walking in the manifestation of it. But you have to be intentional every day.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you, Anthony. You can see in the chat how much everybody loved it this morning. If you're watching this video, follow the guideline. Do not watch this video and not get your vision board going, whether it's cutting out pictures from a magazine and sticking them on your mirror, drawing out your new house in detail, or drawing out your whole future in great detail, putting it in a place where you got to see it every day. and then positively saying things, whether you believe it could ever happen or not. Just get it flowing out of your mouth until it happens and you become a believer. Let's open up the lines. Everybody thank Melody Hot Chocolate for being with us this morning. Thank you, Melody. You are so powerful. Can't wait to see you.